Nonso Anidi's 10-year career in the Met is a huge source of pride for, in his words, a boy from Nigeria.
You could see me at the far left there, grinning like a cat.
But just over a week ago he was dismissed, found to have accused, falsely, a white colleague of using racist and discriminatory language when questioning his overtime.
They have been looking at it, it looks dodgy. I said, what do you mean that it looks dodgy? He said, it looks a bit Nigerian dodgy. I said, whoa, no, you don't need to say that.
Anidi insists it happened, but before his colleague started secretly recording the conversation, a recording used as evidence against him. He was cleared of any wrongdoing over his overtime. Now he wants the Independent Office for Police Conduct to review his dismissal in this case.
I raised a concern about what was said, which I believe was wrong. And they flip it back on you and tell you, actually, you are the one that is the problem here. Because as soon as you open your mouth, you might end up being in my position today.
His case coincides with an independent report commissioned by the Met into anti-black racism, authored by the HR expert and academic Dr. Shireen Daniels. The report says racism in the Met is systemic, with anti-black outcomes in policing not random but built in. It says stop and search is justified through local crime data and officer intuition, but in practice it normalises suspicion against black people. It says darker-skinned black people are more likely to be associated with volatility, aggression or threat. And it ascribes it in part to a structural whiteness in the Met, defined as a logic of power, not a skin tone, and an organising assumption that centres its own comfort, authority and worldview. As long ago as 1999, the Macpherson report into the investigation of the murder of the black teenager Stephen Lawrence branded the force institutionally racist. In 2023, Baroness Casey said the Met was not just institutionally racist, but also misogynistic and homophobic. The Met Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley declined to adopt that language, but launched a reform programme overseeing the dismissal of 1,400 officers and staff in 3 years.
Seen too many Islamics committing crimes.
But just last month, the BBC's Panorama programme broadcast officers from Charing Cross Police Station calling for immigrants to be shot and dismissing accusations of rape.
Shireen Daniels found that racial harm was inevitable because of a culture in the organisation. So that's a lot further than Casey went, which means that the Commissioners manifestly failed to address institutional racism.
Today, Sir Mark Rowley said in a statement, Dr. Daniels' report is powerful. It calls out that further systemic, structural, cultural change is needed, and added, more important than any survey is hearing how deeply this report resonates with black colleagues and communities. We remain committed to listening, learning and acting on their concerns. On Nonso Anidi's case, the Met said a misconduct panel found no evidence of the racist remark he alleged. Having properly assessed all the available evidence, it said, the panel concluded DS Anidi had breached the standards of professional behaviour at the level of gross misconduct, and he was subsequently dismissed.
So what does policing mean to me? Everything. I loved it, I enjoyed it, and I know there's my colleagues out there. They are sad for me, but I always say to them, don't be sad, keep pushing.
Anidi intends to appeal his dismissal, himself pushing to regain his place in an institution, for all its problems, he still sees as family.